Welcome back to American Agenda. A New York Times Siena College poll finds that if the presidential election were held today, that former President Donald Trump would edge out President Joe Biden by a percentage point among likely voters. The results coming as a Harvard-Harris poll notes that less than a third of voters say the country is on the right track. Joining us right now to discuss our panel, lawyer and GOP strategist Ford O'Connell and host of Money Talk with Melanie Collette. Melanie, I'll start with you. I don't know that these are going to be the two candidates, but it's what we have right now, and neither one seems to be taking the road, taking the exit just yet.
I hate to say that we're a little, too far out to make these kinds of decisions and assessments. I'm a political junkie, like many people who I'm sure watch your show and are super excited about the upcoming presidential election. But let's get past the midterms and the nightmare that is going to be for the left, just based on the numbers. And then we can talk about what's going to happen in the presidential election.
Okay. She has a way, Ford, of being a teacher in the education field that, I feel like I've been upbraided. We're not going to talk about that right now. We're going to move on to the next topic. So we shall do that. That same Harvard-Harris poll finds that inflation, the economy, and immigration are the most important issues for voters. And Ford, I think what's interesting about that is a couple months ago, it seemed like it was all going to be about abortion, right? And that was going to change the outcome.
Well, this is the reason why the Democrats are going to lose the House and likely the Senate in the 2022 midterms, possibly even a governor's race out in Oregon. And the reason, Bob, is right to your point. The top three issues just overall are inflation, rising costs of living, crime, and illegal immigration. And the Republicans are favored by double digits on every single one of those metrics. And essentially what this is going to come down to is the my money, my family, my children election. And when the Democrats get mollywopped on election day, they don't have to ask why, because they should already know that American voters are unhappy with their leadership.
Okay, I'll get back to you, Melanie, to define mollywopped.
I'm stealing mollywop. That's going to be my new word. Put a pin in that.
You got me on that one, Ford. Mollywopped. I don't know that one. But people are voting differently, it seems, this go round than we thought even 6 months ago, Melanie. What's the dynamic? Is it as simple as inflation and they're holding Democrats responsible for soft on crime, open border for all intents and purposes? All these things that we talk about every single day, you look at who's in charge and it seems like they're not doing anything to fix them.
Indeed. And on top of putting policies in place that are just not good for the American people are saying this is not good for us. 401ks are down some 25% on average. And then when you talk to people in the administration, their representatives and their talking heads, they're telling you that nothing's wrong, that you're not seeing your 401k dipping, you're not paying so much more for food and gas and everything else, that none of that is actually happening. And when you ignore your voters, you are going to lose. That's just a rule across the board. If you don't run scared and pay attention to your voters every year, that's a losing proposition.
Well, that's the way the founders set it up. You're supposed to respond to the voters. I mean, if they're miserable and they're holding you responsible, they throw the bums out and put somebody else in. Although, Ford, I would point out that even if there's a big red wave, it still seems so many people are reelected every year that incumbents go back like 90% of the time, no matter how bad things are.
Well, to your point, Bob, yes, incumbency has its privilege. And what Melanie's saying, the one big thing that the Republicans have done this cycle that they haven't done in the past is take the arrow out of the quiver of fear that the Democrats usually touted. In this case, that was abortion. Over the past 3 months, what Republicans learned to say, at least in their race, was, I'm not going to change the laws of my state. And what we realize with Democrats and why there will be a red wave again likely in 2024, at least at the top of the ticket, is because Democrats don't understand the problem is their policies, particularly the Green New Deal. And when you realize that basically Biden is asking Saudi Arabia to interfere in our elections because he'd rather not produce more U.S. oil, guess what? Book 2024 in the books as well, because Republicans will win if Democrats don't change their ways.
Okay, we're going to take a break here, come back with our panel. There's a lot of woke stuff to talk about. I mean, somebody should have a woke show, you know? Because you could talk the whole time. So almost every day we have some crazy things to talk about. So stand by, if you would, Ford and Melanie. Coming up, move with me here, folks. Bueller, thank you. What does Kanye have in common with Elon Musk and Donald Trump? They could end up competing against each other. How would that go down? What kind of effect does that have on free speech, the public discourse? Conversation in the public square. These things going on right now, how will they change? Stay with us.